This business is like the Wild West. Gold, silver, rare coins, lost treasures of history. You never know what's gonna walk through that door. Okay, so you got 130 bucks here. Watch this. I'm Evan Kale, and this is Pawn Man. This is the fourth time the con artist has called me. Watch this. St. Louis Park, gold and silver.
Evan?
Mm-hmm.
Are you buying anything right now, or?
I mean, I'm always buying, but I'm not buying hardware. I'm buying gold and silver and jewelry. Do you have those things?
I have a little bit of that. I want to show you some other stuff, too. I just you'd like. Can I stop by tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah, you come on by. Just, again, please don't bring me hardware. I don't want light fixtures. I don't want big blocky stuff. I don't want broken toys. Like, I only want gold and silver and jewelry and things that I actually sell.
Sure.
Now, I don't know what's in here, but I can't imagine it's jewelry.
No.
And I can't imagine it's gold or watches based on the size. So we have, again, my God, I've said this so many times, I can't do glass. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't know how much more clear I could be that I don't want it. What the fuck is this? You know what this is?
Huh.
You don't know what it is. You don't know what it is, you just think I might want to buy it. Oh, Hoppen through malts, gold each glass. It's like a German beer
Stein.
drinking. Well, this will go nice with my Third Reich collection. So we got.
That's worth money. That's worth some money. I don't know what it is, but that's worth some money.
You don't know what it is, but you think it's worth money.
Yeah.
Okay. We got some like little molds, making like carvings. And is that it?
Yeah.
So I specifically said yesterday, like you got gold, you got jewelry. He said, "Yep, I do." I said, "Because I don't want to buy the usual stuff."
I'm sorry.
And that's not what you have here. You got the same kind of stuff that I keep telling you. I just do not want to buy it. I can't do anything with this.
It's worth some money.
I bet it is to someone else, but not to me. And we've been through this probably about 15 times now, and I've never made a good offer on it. I don't know what this is. You don't know what this is. I can't assess a value to it. I would give you $5 for these.
Will you give me 10?
I will not give you 10. I will give you 5 and hope that you learn a lesson from this and coming over here that you can't just peddle crap on me. I am not a dumpster. Cum dumpster, yes, but not a dumpster. So $5.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, it took 6 months to sell, but say what you want about the con artist. I paid maybe $1 for this. I got 50 bucks. This is a limited edition print. So I've been getting a lot of blowback, especially when I was running out of money. People were like, well, then maybe you should just stop doing deals with the con artist and just, cut them out of your store. One, great content. Did you not see that shit? He annoys the hell out of me, but I love the content too. And obviously, I think you guys can tell I've had the weekend to recover since seeing him, because I filmed that on Saturday, and I'm like, oh, I get so crabby by Saturdays. It's like, I just need a fucking day off. Now I'm recharged and ready to go. I almost hope he comes back. But there's enough of these deals that I do with him where I have made money on the guy. I have made, not a lot, but a couple $100. He's great content. Occasionally, he brings in shit like this, and he doesn't even know what he has. And that's part of the problem is, yes, I can win on the deals I do with him, but it's not like I'm doing this on purpose. It's not like he knows what he has. He's just finding anything that he can find. I don't know where the fuck he got this, and just dumping it on me, trying to turn it into money. If he had half a brain and did research and just made his own eBay page, he could make plenty of money doing this. That's the problem with him though, is yes, I made a lot of money on this. $1 in, 50 out is great, even over 6 months, but it's not like he knew what he was selling me. He just was dumping crap on me. It turns out he dumped something good on me. I do hope he doesn't stop coming here. I got so pissy with him on Saturday. Well, this is exciting. So I have a customer that just came in here, and he pulls up, he's got a Polaris slingshot, and I've never been in one. He's buying an ounce of gold. I was like,
oh, just over here buying an ounce of gold.
Just an ounce. But I looked at it, I was like, how much time you got? Why? Give you 10 bucks off, you give me a little ride. Okay. All right, let's fucking do it. Holy shit, that's fun! appreciate this. This was really fun. But yeah, come see me for gold, silver. If you got stuff to sell, I buy anything but guns. So.
Oh, you're my man.
All right.
You got a lifelong business partner.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
Enjoy the day, but I probably don't need to tell you that. See ya. Oh, that was fun. Okay, I have always called those redneck Ferraris. I see the appeal. Those are fun. That was really cool. All right, so we are gonna put this mezuzah up on the door. As I'm sure all of you know, I'm not handy at all. I can barely put my pants on, let alone do something like this. So we'll see. I mean, you're like, oh, come on, it's only 2 screws. 2's a big number for me when it comes to stuff like this. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what a mezuzah is, it's put in the homes and businesses, mostly for homes, but businesses too, of Jews. It like designates that this is a Jewish household. Oh my God, that's funny. Oh, that's so funny. So we're in St. Jewish Park. I can clearly see there was one already here. So I'm literally just gonna copy right exactly where it was. And I have just finished putting in hate crime insurance. Now, fuck with me now. Show you guys this really quick before I package it up. This is a restrike. This is not an original metal. If this was original, this would be fucking hella expensive. This is one of the early works by Carl Goetz, the metallist, engraver. Carl is responsible for most of the metals that we are going to be talking about in this episode from the Third Reich. This metal here he did to commemorate World War I. It's like commemorating all the dead young people in World War I. This is such a morbid metal. Holy crap. Like, look at this. Just like these dancing skeletons dancing to their death. So isn't that interesting? I didn't film the deal yesterday, but I did buy some vintage Coke stuff. Let's quickly take a look at it. So this, I paid $100 for it. I just sold it for $300. This is a 1950s route salesman training kit. So this is like for, if you work for Coca-Cola and you were on the road for them, this is actually what my grandfather did. He didn't work for Coke. He sold ladies accessories. Like, he was a traveling salesman. That's what you did. It's like a job that doesn't exist anymore. So like, you know, being a traveling salesman, it was like one of those old-timey jobs that we did, like, it's not really much of a thing anymore. I mean, I guess it is, but not in this capacity. These are like various documents for like training you in, basic training program, enthusiasm, priceless ingredient. Cocaine's a priceless ingredient. Also comes with these like original film cells that probably, I would think these are like instructional film cells or something like that. I don't know, I don't have a projector, so I don't know what's on them. Either that or these are like, whoever's buying this is like getting like snuff films and they don't realize they're buying murders from the 1960s disguised in these Coke advertisements. Come on. People drink Coke more than 58 million times a day. Sell it with enthusiasm. Again, put the cocaine back in it. You're gonna make your salesman pretty fucking enthusiastic. With all these meeting guides, it also comes with a record. I don't have a record player, so I can't play it. So, isn't this cool? Sold this for $300. Very weird, unique item. And then I'll show you guys, I bought 2 items actually, and the other one I think I'm gonna just keep because I like it. These are 1923 Coke bottles with the original aluminum holder. So when I looked on eBay, I saw the bottles, they're going anywhere for like 10 to 30 bucks each, but none of them had the holder. So I paid $100 for this. I could probably get about 2 for it. If you really want it, I'll sell it too. I do kind of want to keep it for my showcase here. I just think this looks great. I like Coke stuff. I think I talked about this. We had an old Coke advertisement in my home growing up and it was kind of cool. Coke, it's a family affair. I think I've also showed this off too. This is this is like a Coke bottle from the USSR. This has been, I'm sure some of you have noticed, this has been sitting here for months. I bought this about 5-6 months ago. And then this is a silver set of Coke. It's a limited edition. You got Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, Fanta. I'll hold my tongue on Fanta. So, Coke stuff. We're gonna cover Coke, its history, its collectability, and an upcoming episode of Pawn Man. I don't know, in the next couple weeks or months, I don't know.
We're not looking to sell it, we're looking to get more of like what it's worth.
Sure, yeah, I'll just take a look.
You gotta like jiggle.
Yeah.
They're in there good.
Oh shit, these are cool. Okay, if I had to guess, I'm not an expert with this, but if I had to guess, I think you could easily get $200 on these.
Okay.
God, look at this. Can I see the instruction manual too?
Absolutely.
Wow. Die Kammler wird geöffnet, in dem die bei der Bugel. Yeah, it's not a very pretty language. Boy, this I have no idea. I mean, shit, this looks like this works.
It does. I've taken photos with it.
Oh, okay. Where do you find film for it?
It's a 35mm. It was the first mass-produced 35mm camera.
Anywhere from $400 to like $1,000.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, especially because you got the paperwork and everything
Yeah.
else.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Shit, throw it on eBay for $1,300 and see what happens.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. So I pulled the trigger and I bought one. This is the female riding deer note. We talked about this note in the Confederate currency episode. I should have bought it for that, and it was kind of cheap. This was not cheap. This was a $330 item. I immediately sold it for $400. And this here, this is a real banknote. I don't know for sure if this is what it's based on. So this note features the Roman goddess Diana. This note is sometimes referred to as the goddess of the hunt, or, you know, like I said, the female riding deer note. So this note, it has an amazing story. It is an incredible historical accident that had huge weight in the Civil War. So this note was created by an individual named Samuel C. Upham out of Pennsylvania. Now, what happened was Samuel was a merchant owner. He was a journalist. Seems like he had a pretty interesting life. I'm not going to get into that. But he was creating these bogus counterfeit notes and selling them out of his store as a novelty. These notes were produced from 1862 to 1863, and it took a while for people to realize that these were fake. See, he was producing them as a fuck you to the Confederacy. It was a memento to the war and the times, but again, he was making these notes, and it did say that they were fake on them. But what ended up happening was he did such a good job making these counterfeit notes that people just cut off the part that said it was fake, and then they go down to the South and they would spend them. It's estimated he made upwards of 1.5 million notes. And it completely rat-fucked the Confederacy. It got so bad, and he was bragging about his counterfeiting operation so much, the Confederacy put a bounty on his head. So what started out inadvertently as a gimmick to get money ended up actually being an incredible weapon for the Union to use against the Confederacy, so much so that I would call Upham a Union hero by doing this. It's estimated he produced so many of these, 1 to 3% of all currency circulating in the Confederacy was his fake currency. Now, as we've talked about again and again and again and again, that causes so many problems for an economy. I mean, it's a contributing factor to why the Confederacy lost. Was this guy making these excellent fake notes? I just think this is one of like the best accidents of history, like just such an interesting story. And this piece to me is so cool. Number one, I mean, we've talked about this, but like, you know, all money back then was so well designed and looks so much better than the money we have now. But this in particular, I think this design is just delightful to look at. On top of that, what I like about this, it's only got a score of 12, which as we know on the 70-point grading scale, is pretty low. But I like that more. That to me tells more history. This means with a score of 12, this has been passed many different times. This did its job. That's what this note tells a story of. Now, I did, like I said, I bought these two online. I sold both of them like instantly. Shout out to Rochelle. I have a really good customer who's been spending a lot of money with me on some of my exotic stuff. So I opened this in front of her, and this has happened numerous times with her. She just bought it. So I had her, she accidentally took it on Saturday when I told her, I was like, well, I need to film a thing about this. And then she came back and she dropped them off, and here they are. I'm gonna probably buy another one of these for my collection because I A, love the story, and B, this is like one of my favorite design notes. It looks so good. Also, really quickly, I want to give a shout out to my two are they my cousins? They're my cousin's kids. I guess they're my second cousins. My second cousins, Dylan and Carson. I heard you guys are watching the show, and I appreciate you guys watching. It was great to meet you guys. I met them right before the pandemic in 2020, before I was Pawn Man. One of my cousins messaged me to tell me that they're watching, and awesome. Really cool you guys are watching. It really makes me reconsider the amount that I swear. I'm not going to change. I'm just saying that gave me pause for about half a second. But fuck that, I'm still gonna swear. So, shout out to you guys. Thanks for watching. All right, I'm at the tail end of a deal. I didn't film any of it, but there's one item here that I'd like to show because it's really cool. Even if I don't know if I'm gonna buy it or not. I don't know if I can afford it. I gotta look up the price here, but this is a flag from the Civil War. So what happened was it's backwards. I don't want to touch it. We think it's made of silk. The person who's bringing it in, their late sister, worked at a Civil War museum, and that's probably where it came from. We think it's from 1861 because of the amount of stars. How many stars are on it? Yeah, 35 stars on it. It's supposed to a little shredded up there. But we see the words battery. Battery was an official name of like a smaller fighting battalion. So this is the Southwick's battery. Maybe their commander's name was Southwick. I'm not terribly sure. But this flag is pretty interesting. It saw some action. And they brought a little informational sheet, so I'm just straight up read off of it. Here's a brief history as we understand it. The battery was formed at the beginning of the conflict and was officially named Battery Company C 1st Ohio Volunteer Artillery. Southwick's battery was probably a monk here. There's no reference if the battery was named after a person. or a Union community. However, the battery's commander was Captain Daniel K. Southwick, so that's probably how it became colloquially known as Southwick's battery among the troops. Well, we're gonna look it up and see if we can make an offer. Well, here we got it turned over. Southwick's battery. Very cool. So actually, I don't know what to offer. This is a very difficult item to look up, so I'm gonna just take some pictures, table it, get back to him next week, but super cool. Boy, I've been getting a lot of fan appreciation lately. I want to thank David Quinn for sending me this. Hey, Pawn Man, I've been watching your content for about a year now, purchased a few things and don't recall seeing any Cuban notes. So I wanted to send some your way for your collection, case fillers or content material. These were inexpensive, so they're a gift. Thank you for the content. Keep up the great work. Your friend, Mod Cool Moose. P.S. It won't get you a long line, but it should do. So yeah, these are cool. I actually have some Cuban notes coming. I just purchased some very high-end ones from my contact in Europe, but these are cool. I'm not gonna sell these. I'm gonna just stick these in my collection. Thank you, David. I really appreciate it. Between that and this nice card I got from Benjamin Madsen. I also have a follower named Rochelle, and I need to say thank you. She gave me a very nice gift. Like, so nice that it made me tear up. And I kind of don't want to. Honestly, I don't want to encourage giving, like, don't give me gifts, you guys. It makes me borderline uncomfortable. I really like it. Like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, but if you want to support me, be a Patreon, give me, like, straight up, like, give me money so I can keep making the show. Maybe it's because I had a period when I went poor and everything was really shitty in my life for like 10 years, and like I straight up did not get gifts basically for years and years and years and years, and now when I get them, I like don't know what to do, because it's like, oh, that thing that I used to get a lot when I was a kid and then I didn't get for many, 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 many years, and I kind of forgot what it was like to get them, and now it's just weird. Anyway, thanks Rochelle for the great coins. Really, really, really nice. And thank you, David, for the Cuban notes, and thank you, Benjamin, for the kind words. So these sold right away. I knew they would. It's a Russian nesting doll series. We got Putin. This is Gorbachev. What's this? It's not Yeltsin. And then we got Stalin and Lenin. So this, I mean, I took one look at this and I was like, holy shit, it's Putin with his KGB shit on. It's like definitely made in Russia. It's like Russian writing on the bottom of it. I might have given this person a great deal. This could be worth more, but I mean, I paid like nothing for it. I got 125 instantly. Little sad. I kind of would like to have kept it because it is interesting. It looked great in my store, but I can't keep everything I like. So got money on this right away. It's mid-afternoon. It is day 3 of me working on this. I'm going through my entire Third Reich collection. I got to go through and build a big spreadsheet about every single one of these. I got to figure out which ones are the top ones that are graded, because a lot of these are the highest grade known, and a lot of these are one of one. They're the only ones known, so I'm trying to figure out which ones are which. It's kind of a big project, so it's 3:30. God, if I could finish this today, I'd be very happy. It's gonna take a couple hours. So that's the only one known. This, I paid, God, I want to say almost like $1,000 for this one. So this is the full list. There's 55 items in total, and this is everything that is a one of one. The only one that is known, or at least graded by PCGS, population 1, I got it. I got the only one. Honestly, I have more than I thought I did. I only thought I had about 10. There are almost half of the whole collection is a one of one. These are the ones, these are the top ones that are known, meaning that they have the highest grade out of anything that's been graded. And then these are all the ones that I have that are just like, there's other examples now and they're more common. It's interesting, I think this is the most expensive one in the whole collection. This was like almost $1,500, and there are others that have higher grades. So we will go through all these when I do the monologue. I'm filming a TikTok about my collection, and I just got all of it out, and like there's been like nobody walking in all day today. It's still Monday. It's just my luck. Somebody's, sure enough, right as I lay out all the fucking Nazi medals and I'm about to start filming, a Hasidic Jew walks in. I'm like, oh God, okay, look over here, don't look over there, look over here. I'm like trying to like quickly stack them up before she walks in. I'm able to distract her long enough. She didn't look over here, she leaves. God damn, right as she walks out, another one walks in. They're walking back to back, and I gotta do the same thing. It took like an hour of me like working with them and like, don't look over there, just look at me. Just look at this face, not over there. God. Oh. It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have Nazi shit in your store. Well, you might be onto something. 9. Wrong hand anyway. All right, guys, for this episode, we are talking all about Nazi tokens and medals. Propaganda is one of the most effective weapons that a government or entity can utilize. It allows you to win a conflict without ever firing a shot if done properly. And the Nazis were masters of propaganda. They're one of the most effective groups at utilizing propaganda to their advantage in human history. In the 1930s, Germany was just emerging from the ruins of World War I. They were trying to put themselves back on the world stage as a major power, trying to brush off their defeat and rebuild Germany for something new. Now, really quickly, I have been reading this book in preparation for this episode. It's like a fantastic book. I can't recommend it enough. It's called Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. It was written in the 1950s by a historian looking back. He lived through the Nazis. He was there for, well, he got out I'm in like late 1939. He's still in Germany in this book, the author. But he talks about, in the opening, how proud Germans were to be German again. How Hitler was ushering in a new era for Germany. Germans were proud to be German in the early 1930s. And part of that was because of the propaganda machine that Hitler and his Nazi party had been utilizing. When Hitler was running for election in 1930, he was using propaganda techniques that nobody else had ever done before in politics. He was having cars going around cities shouting Hitler for president in a loudspeaker. This had never been done before. He was flying across the country from event to event to event to event in a single day. Nobody was doing that. Hindenburg wasn't doing that. He was old and didn't understand the modern world and how to utilize things like film and images the way that Hitler did and his Nazi party. Now put yourself in the world back then where you don't have the internet, you barely have the telephone, word of mouth, it doesn't get fact-checked as quick as it can be today. You know, if somebody tells you some bullshit today, you just Google it. Back then, you heard it, and it might take a couple days, maybe even you don't hear the correct facts at all. You just parrot what was repeated to you. That's propaganda. So once Hitler took power, I mean, you have the state becoming a propaganda apparatus to brainwash the people, to convince them that duty to the Reich, this 1,000-year empire that has just come out, that is what you need to be doing, and goddamn it, you should be proud to be German. And repeating this day after day after day, day in, day out, in newspapers, on the radio, it just brainwashed the people. And it made them excited and willing to die for what the mission was, what Hitler's mission was for Germany. Also, put yourself in the shoes of the German people after World War I. They're starving, they're embarrassed, their economy's in shambles, many of their young are dead. World War I was just a meat grinder to an entire generation, and Germany really had just gone to fight this horrible war and was terribly defeated. It had its pants pulled down on the world stage. It had lost land. The Versailles Treaty was a massive slap in the face. Hitler's got this thing where the Weimar Republic, the people who sign the Versailles Treaty and usher it in and you know, say okay to it, he calls them November criminals. He views what they did as being criminal to the state and people of Germany. So from the get-go, the Nazi regime is trying to vilify the victors of World War I and the Jews. They view these groups as ruining the German economy and getting rich and profiting off of Germany's defeat. They basically blame them, especially the Jews, for losing World War I. So within the Nazi regime, there are two individuals that really help the propaganda apparatus. One of them being the head of Nazi propaganda, Joseph Goebbels. The other one being the medalist, Karl Gotz. Now, Goebbels met Hitler in the 1920s. He was one of his top cronies from the get-go. He fell in love with Hitler after watching him talk. Not literally, but just was transfixed by watching him speak. He was appointed Chancellor of Germany in Hitler's will. He was the Minister of Propaganda. He was the head of all the Nazi propaganda. And he was one of the first people to realize the power and effective strategy of propaganda. He was relentless in controlling all forms of media and art. In fact, there's a very funny excerpt here in Rise and Fall of the Third Reich about how German cinema in the 1930s, as the rest of the world has started to do this weird, cool, experimental stuff, you're seeing Hollywood really take off. Nazi films sucked. They were all about worshiping the state. He was just utilizing all this as propaganda. Everything had to be propaganda for the state. And as a result, you see artistic expression completely die. He was also a massive proponent of anti-Semitic views, the extermination of Jews, one of the worst Nazis. So with Goebbels utilizing everything he can to grow the Nazi apparatus through propaganda, he taps into Karl Goetz. Now, Karl Goetz was born in 1875. He was a renowned medalist at the rise of the Nazis, very famous career, made some excellent coins. As I showed you guys earlier, he was designing medals in the early 1900s. He made a hell of a name for himself. So the Nazis tap into Goetz, and he's not a member of the Nazi party. He doesn't agree with it, but he sees that he can't argue with the state. Nothing good happens if you live in Germany and you're like, I don't like these Nazi folks. He thought they were better than the communists, but he viewed them as being evil as well. However, they asked him to start designing medals for the Reich, and he said okay. He started doing it. Again, he didn't feel like he had a choice, but he did go along with it. So he begins this propaganda technique of medals and tokens, which the Nazis are putting out as a means of brainwashing the people and glorifying their exploits. Now, Goetz had made a name for himself using satire, caricaturization, like almost political cartoons, very similar to the Hard Times tokens that we've talked about in an earlier episode here in America. Goetz made at least 150 medals for the Third Reich. Some of them are just one-off. They were meant to be given to a single person. It was meant to glorify whatever. Others were meant to be mass-produced. These medals also provide commentary on German society under the reign of the Third Reich. Now, interestingly, all these medals did have to be approved. Goetz couldn't just make them, so he'd come up with designs, they'd approve it. Some of these medals, he's got slights against the Nazis, and they're very, very subtle, and the Nazis didn't pick up on it. We'll get to that in a minute here. Now, Goetz began producing medals for the Nazis in the early 1930s. The production of these medals and tokens ceases completely by 1943, and that's because the Nazis are losing the war so bad at that point that they don't have time to make fancy medals. After the war, it is said that this destroyed Karl Goetz mentally. He died in 1950. He was never really the same again after the war. I mean, I'm sure a lot of Germans weren't. The last medal he produced, I mean, you can just see the shame of the artist and the woe of the artist in the work. It was produced in 1946. It's called The German Passion. On the reverse, there is a passage from the Lord's Prayer inscribed on it. It says, "Forgive our debts, as we have also forgiven our debtors. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil." And Goetz's son actually had to finish this medal. His father was in poor health. He died at the age of 75, September 8th, 1950. And like I said, he kind of died from a broken heart, it seems like. So that's the history portion of this. Now, we're doing this, I'm covering this. Here's what happened. Here's the personal angle from this. You guys remember the Minerva dollars. I started buying them to corner the market, and I kind of did. I made the price go up quite a bit by making videos about it, talking about it, and buying them all up. I'm not buying them anymore, but the price went from about 150 to 500 over about 2 months, and I made some good money. So this got me thinking, what else is undervalued like this? What else could I do this with? And late at night, this was late November of 2021, I'm online, and I noticed that there's PCGS Third Reich medals, and I'm looking at like, holy shit. It was a Karl Goetz medal, I forget which one it was. But I remember thinking, how many of these are out there? So I typed it into the PCGS to get a population report. It was the only one known. And I bid on it, and I won, and I got it. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm thinking, I only paid about $150 for this thing. This is massively undervalued. This might be the only one that survived. So I started buying more, and more, and more. Before I knew it, I'd spent $19,659.18. I wanted to buy all of them. I wanted to buy every single one that came on the market, and I wanted to stick them away because I think these are so rare, unique, unappreciated. I'm sorry, like they're amazing looking medals. The design of them, Karl Goetz is a master engraver. And so I set about buying everything I could. And to be honest, you guys, I haven't talked about this much. I almost put myself out of business doing this. I now own all these medals outright. I paid for them. But this is part of why I've had money troubles, is buying these. I bought all these because, again, I felt I had discovered something that was massively undervalued, and I thought I could manipulate the market and make a lot of money. What I didn't count on was how addicted I would get to building this collection up and just how much I would spend. And frankly, it's like, this is a thing that I do a lot. I forget that I'm on such a limited budget. I run this show and this store as if I have a TV studio behind me. I have unlimited money. And that's not a very smart thing to do. I'm never gonna do this again. So what I have here, you guys, I have assembled a collection of 54 medals and tokens from the Third Reich. They're all graded. They're almost all PCGS graded. PCGS has not been doing this for very long. My thought is graders probably don't love looking at these, but they have to treat it subjectively like they do anything else. They can't have a slant because of what it represents. They just have to look at it and give it a grade as they would anything else. I was trying to tell the story of the Third Reich through their medals and tokens. Now, the fact is, again, I almost bankrupted myself doing this, and I would have needed estimated probably about another 30 to 40K to finish this collection. I wanted to get like, all of them. The other thing that's interesting about this is, so I started doing this in late November of 2021. By March, and I didn't tell anybody, I learned my mistake because I opened up my mouth about the Minerva dollar thing too quick, and then the prices ran away because everybody started bidding on them. I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. I was doing it in utter secrecy. And the prices on their own around March of 2022 started dramatically climbing. I started out, I was paying about 150 a metal. By the time I was done, they were 600 to 800 a piece. Some of these are over 1,000 that I bought. So it's like the whole market kind of woke up all at once that these are undervalued. So with that, let's take a look at the full collection and see what exactly cost me $19,659.18. So this is all of them. I have them all laid out here. This is my most recent acquisition. It's actually not on my spreadsheet. There's more research to be done. I might keep this one. I'm gonna keep a couple of these. This is a Rhineland Liberation. So this is, whoever, I don't think this is a Karl Gotz one, but this is like Germany, like enviously looking at the Rhineland, looking at what they lost in the Versailles Treaty and making a medal to commemorate and speak to how badly they want the Rhineland back, how they want to liberate it back to Germany. Okay, so these are all the ones where there are other ones known. I don't have the highest example known or the top graded. I don't have a 1 of 1. There's other ones out there. As you can see, almost all these are PCGS except for this one and this one. And this one I actually got from local coin company. I paid them $420, right? Or maybe I paid them $1,000. No, I paid him $1,000 for this one. And this is another one that I might keep. You'll see a lot of symbolism important to Germany. Germany viewing itself as an iron eagle. Britain is a lion, the lion of Britain. We see that depicted in a lot of these medals. And here in the reverse, nothing good's happening here. Officially, this is the Imperial Protectorate over Bohemia and Bavaria. And the reverse is the Kingdom of Adolf Hitler. This medal celebrates the annexation of Bohemia and Bavaria territories of Czechoslovakia Republic, renaming it to the Protectorate of a common theme of the Nazis that they were protecting the people of an annexed land. Protecting, quote unquote. And mind you, if you were going to a concentration camp, you were being put into protective custody. So, that's their view on protection. Starting with the top of the collection here, these are Hitler election tokens. These are pieces of propaganda put out to the German people, hey, that Hitler guy who's running for office, what do you think of him? Here's a token. So like this one's made of aluminum. Here we see the Iron Eagle on the back, clasping a swastika, and then Hitler on the obverse. And these would also have like a low currency value. Like you guys remember tokens had tokens could be exchanged for like a penny back in the day. And this was kind of the same thing. You could probably use these in stores. I mean, they're mainly meant to just be passed around as propaganda to remind people that, well, that Hitler guy is running. What do you say we vote for? So this one's AU-58, this one's AU-50. These are made of aluminum. Most of these are made from aluminum or zinc. But here we have the rise of Hitler, and we see an eagle breaking chains, breaking free of the Versailles Treaty. This represents Germany. This is the Versailles Treaty. Hitler taking over the country represents the shattering of that treaty and a new armed, war-hungry, and ready Germany. I have another one here. This one's the top one graded. Again, same reverse and obverse. It's slightly smaller, but this, like I said, highest score known. It's an MS62. Now this one right here, this is the most expensive one in the whole collection. I paid like $1,200 for this one. And this is where I was like, you know what? I'm giving up. I'm gonna put myself out of business if I keep this shit up. So this is the Holy German Empire, reverse, a kingdom, a people, a leader, Adolf Hitler. This medal refers to the Third Reich as the Holy German Empire, giving the country a more divine provenance, playing with the Nazis and Hitler's claim to an ancestral right to the land and being the perfect race, the master race, the people who deserve the world. Okay, this one here, I think we talked about this before because I've had a few other of these. I had a raw one pretty recently. This is the annexation of Czechoslovakia, and anybody in the SS or the soldiers who participated in the annexation of it. It's a specimen 66. It's one of the top ones known, but it's not the top one. This one's commemorating an old general. I think he died in 37. Social welfare declaration. For Hitler's Germany. This has to do with the annexation of the Rhineland and industry. A lot of these you'll see they have swastikas on the back. I paid 400 something for this one. France had held this region as part of the Versailles Treaty, so once they annexed it, they were happy to get it back, and they made a lot of propaganda about it. This one right here, this big one, this is a Luftwaffe technician medal. So this was given to people who worked in the Luftwaffe who were able to like do good things for planes, you know, fixing them up. I don't think this one went to fighter pilots, per se. This is Hermann Goring. This big one here is for Strasbourg University. When the Nazis celebrate universities, what they're celebrating is like actually the destruction of knowledge, because they had, well, they would just instigate their own sciences, and their sciences were, you know, race sciences. They were just crazy made up mumbo jumbo. So they basically just destroy the education process and replace it with garbage, and then they would commemorate it. This is for the annexation of the Danzig. And here, this is great propaganda here. We see the Germanic knight on horseback being led by the Nazi Iron Eagle clasping a swastika. The knight is triumphantly marching forward, and the reverse has a wreath with the Nazi swastika above it. This one's been damaged. A few of these have environmental damage, which is unfortunate, but the thing is, some of them that have environmental damage over here, I have the only one known. So it's like, well, you know, shit, it's damaged, but it's par for the course because there's nothing else out there. Okay, moving on. These are the top ones graded. So I have the highest example known. So this one here is from the Berlin Games from 1936. Actually, I have a few of these. These two are the only ones known. This one's kind of more common. And then, like I said, this one's the top graded. So the 1936 Berlin Games, I mean, you want to talk propaganda. That was the Nazis' propaganda at their A game. Like, the whole Berlin Games was just a big propaganda device for the Nazis to show the world what Germany had become after World War I. So we see this one here is tapping into like the Greek mythos of, you know, the Aryan white man, the strong man. He's lighting the torch naked. And here we see the passing of a wreath from one hand to another, one white hand to another. And then this one, I believe this was given as a medal to an athlete. Some of these are made from precious metal. Most of them are not, because precious metal is very scarce in the Third Reich, but like these two are silver. This is a police service award. So if you were a cop in the Reich, after 8 years, you got this award, and I can only imagine what terrible things you'd have to do to get an award for being a Nazi cop. This one here is the anniversary of the first flight to Canister Wasson. This is a War Merit Medal. This probably speaks for itself. This is like an actual, like, you're doing some warring, some shooting, some, you know, bad Nazi shit. This right here is another Hermann Goring medal. Is it made from brass? It's bronze. It's made from bronze. This one was really expensive too. And then this one, honestly, I'm probably keeping this one. This commemorates the Spanish Civil War and the Nazis' involvement in it. This is a Carl Goetz one. Now, I'm not gonna go through and tell you which ones are Carl and which ones aren't. Not all of them are, but this one is, and you'll see what I meant with the satire, with the provocative, like just the hidden subtle imagery going on in it, especially here in the reverse. Like it looks sinister, but it also looks like he's making fun of something. So like I said, I'm probably keeping this one. And then moving on, these are the population 1 of 1. So these are all porcelain medals down here. These are the only porcelain medals in the collection. 1942, capture of Sevastopol. Kind of hard to see details. There's like a great big gun on the obverse, and the reverse is just like a map, probably like a battle map. And then 1941, Battle of Kiev. There's a Nazi swastika over an Iron Cross. And again, the reverse just features a map. And then this one is for the occupation of Norway. We see an Iron Eagle sitting down, kind of looks like a crow almost. And then the reverse is like a Viking ship with a Nazi flag on it. And here in this one, we see Blut und Boden, or blood and soil. Blood and soil was a key Nazi ideology about how the land was bound to German blood, and praised rural values and country peasants who farmed and poured their blood into their farms as heroes. Heinrich Himmler, really big on this. In the back, there's a sheep representing the farming people. This one is for the Nazi press. This is the, like, well, these are all the only one known. Unfortunately, this one does have some environmental damage. This one was like not expensive, and it's, I can't believe for something that's the only one known, it was as cheap as it was. Here we have 2 NSDAP tokens. This one here is for Tannenberg University. We see the university on the reverse, and I don't know who that is. It kind of looks like Hindenburg. These are the medals. I showed these to my friends, and both of my friends had the same reaction. It was kind of early on. It was when I still had these at my apartment and not here at my store, and both my friends were just like, dude, what's wrong with you? So these gentlemen were, oh God, I barely call them gentlemen. Don't you bet they just love Jews? They look like they do. They were various military aces. Let's see this guy. This guy was like a sea captain. Maybe he was like a submarine captain. And then this guy was an ace fighter pilot. One of these two, I looked this up a couple months ago. I think it was this guy. His nickname was Daddy. Straight up, they called him Daddy. Moving on, this is an Erwin Rommel medal commemorating the Afrika Korps, the ill-fated Africa campaign of the Nazis. When I talked with World War Wisdom, you guys might have seen that interview a couple months ago. His thing, you know, I said, so what do you think was the one thing that could have made the whole war go way differently? He said, if Rommel had been in charge at D-Day, they might have pushed the Allies back into the ocean. But alas, it is not what happened, and thank God. This one is commemorating the first Zeppelin that went from Germany to, I believe, Brazil. In 1936, the Nazis, they had this whole thing planned that they were going to be sending Zeppelins around the world as like commercial flights, but then the war broke out and that never happened. I think this one's a Christmas medal, which is strange because the Nazis were not big into anything Christian. This one probably has the most detail out of anything. This is the entry into Moldorf. And like, holy hell, just look at this. Look at the level of detail here. I mean, this might be hand done. Here we have, I think it is the only specimen 67 in the whole collection that's such a high score. I haven't seen anything at specimen 68 on the market. Again, blood and soil. This one here, I'd like to keep this one too. I can't cherry pick all this cool stuff out of the collection because, well, we'll talk about what I'm doing in a minute here. This was a commemoration of the campaign in Norway. This medal commemorates the occupation of Norway, featuring a traditional Viking ship emblazoned with the swastika. The Nordic occupation was important strategically, but mostly to the Nazis with the Aryan perfect race, the German empires, and strong ties to Vikings. So again, we see Germany also wanted to take Norway because they thought it would help them defeat England. They thought England would take over Norway and be able to use it as a base of operations. We see the eagle swooping down on the lion of England and it's biting off its tail, kind of just like overwhelming it. We see this big Nazi shield protecting the motherland, burying the lion. And on the reverse, it's a Viking ship being manned by what looks like an Aryan guy. This one's probably one of the worst. This is an SS token with 2 skulls on it. There's no date, but we see the reverse, the Iron Eagle carrying the swastika, and yeah, just says us. This one, God, this one was expensive too. This one was like almost like $900. This one here is Battle of Flanders. The reverse is Dunkirk, which was like one of the most ill-fated things the Nazis did. This medal was celebrating the end of the Battle of Flanders, which is a region north of Belgium and France. And this led to Dunkirk and ultimately the ill-fated decision to let the British soldiers cross the channel and go, which basically is a big reason why the Nazis lost the war. So here we have the whole collection laid out. Again, I am done buying. This is it. And now let's talk about what I want to do with it. I wanted to keep this, you guys. I wanted to keep adding to it. I wanted to stick it away, and I wanted to stick it away until 2033. And that is because 2033 is the 100-year anniversary of the rise of the Third Reich. I think this shit is gonna go way, way, way up in value. I can't believe I was able to get what I got for the amount of money that I spent. I think this is so undervalued right now. These are so rare, they are so historically important. Another reason why I've been buying these and why I've been making video content and talking about it is every time I buy one and put it on the internet, I am documenting what happened with the Third Reich. I am saying to Holocaust deniers and everybody who wants to write their own history about the Nazis, fuck you. The way that you think it happened didn't happen. That's why those are so historically important. I'd like to just donate them to a museum, but I am running a business here. So like I said, I was going to keep them. I am in a financial position to keep them because I crawled out of this pit that I dug myself in. I paid all these off and they've already matured in value. Unfortunately, number one, I think I could do better things with the money. Number two, and this is where some of you might roll your eyes a little bit, I think they're cursed. I'm not kidding. I've had some weird shit happen to me, some bad shit since I started buying them. And it's like, a lot of it's just me being a dumbass or just like, you know, stupid shit. But like, there's been some uncanny weird shit that's happened to me. And I want to get them out of my life. I want to cash out and I want to put the money to better use. And I just, like, again, like I said, I've had some weird shit happen ever since I started buying them. Bad shit. Most recent example I can think of, Wednesday night, I was at the bar with a friend. We're standing out front talking. Part of the fucking roof came off and it missed me by like that. And like my friend jumped back like all startled and like at this point, because like weird shit like this has been happening. My friend's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, I know exactly what that was. Now again, part of it could be coincidence, but like go back and watch my Ouija board episode. I believe in some of this weird shit out there that I believe in. And one of those is probably cursed, if not all of them. I don't know, I gotta sell them. So here's what I'm doing. I want 50 grand for the whole collection. I think it'll be worth $250,000 in 10 years. I really do. Like I said, I'd love to keep them, but I kind of need the money, and I don't know, it's bad juju. It's like time to let them go and move on. I'm gonna pick a few of them out of that collection. I'm gonna pick, I think, 3 and keep them, so it will be a collection of 50. I'm asking 50,000. I'm open to offers. They are going to an auction next month if I can't find a buyer. If you're watching this beyond September of 2022, then I've already sold them. So serious buyers, if you're interested, I can send you a list and pictures of all of them. I have a full spreadsheet. Again, I'm looking for 50K. If I can't get anything close to it, they're going to auction. I have a reserve price. I want at least 35,000. But with that, you guys, that is Nazi tokens and medals of the Third Reich. This has been my secret project that I've been working on for about 6 months, and it's time to cash out. I'm glad that I had them in front of me. I'm really glad I was able to educate you guys about them. This is something that's not well known. It's not well documented. You know, my researcher, we were gonna do this episode almost 2 months ago. My researchers had a hell of a time with it, and that's because there's really no mintage figures on how many of these were produced. The Sudetenland medal, I was able to get a mintage figure on, but most of the other ones, nothing. In fact, a lot of those, maybe the only ones out there. Maybe a couple of those are the only ones that were ever even made, because some of these were made as personal items. So if any of you are interested, or you know somebody who's into collecting this kind of stuff, let me know. All right, guys, just like that, it is the end of the day and the end of the episode. If you guys like this video, be sure you give it a thumbs up, hit the notification button so you guys know when new episodes of Pawn Man are coming out. Please become a Pawn Man Patreon, you guys. I could use all the help I can get. Pawn Man Patreons get a private link to watch my YouTube videos early before everyone else, even just for $1 a month, so check that out. Get my books on Amazon, follow me on social media, @EvanKale, @Pawn Man, and I'll see you guys back here for another episode of Pawn Man. Later, guys.